Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the journey from a predominantly engineering-led organization to a product-led organization. If you are in product space, many of you already heard the term product-led, right? This is not a new thing, right? Pretty much if you look at any successful SaaS company in Chennai, all these companies are already product-led companies, right? So we'll talk about what product-led means, and we'll also talk about how we evolved from being an engineering-led organization to a product-led organization. So if you are a early stage founder, if we already have a team in place, and if you are trying to grow the team, this session might be useful for you. Okay. So as said, this is a transition from engineering-led to product-led. If you know Kissflow, we started way back in 2004, right? And many of you already may know Suresh as well. So when Suresh started this organization, I would rather say, unfortunately, the whole founding team is like full of engineers, right? So we worked together in the previous organization, and when Suresh started this company, pretty much the whole team joined Suresh in the new venture. So as the team is full of engineers, we actually saw technology as a weapon, not as a tool, right? To solve very, very complex business problems. So we didn't have a design team, we never had product managers, and we didn't have a marketing team as well, right? This is like way back in 2004. So as engineers, we believed that we have the technical equipment to solve very, very complex problems. And when we solve complex problems, the product will automatically sell. That's what I actually believed in during the initial days. Right? So we only had like only two teams inside the organization. One, the engineering team, and the next one is the sales team. Right? So the engineers will build the product. As I said, no design team. Right? So all the engineers are full stack developers. We of course worked in the bleeding edge technology. We are of course like very proud about what we can achieve through technology as well. Right? So we got a very, very small sales team, which used to actually get the product and sell it to our customers. And pretty much the major part of Kissflow's or Orangescape journey is work this way. Mm-hmm. Right? So we were able to create a very, very comprehensive product. It happened in 2008. We created a fairly comprehensive product that pretty much solved all the use cases we want to solve in application development or process automation. But it, of course, had a very, very steep learning curve. As I said, as engineers, we created a fairly sophisticated product. And the business users can use the product. They can actually solve problems at 10x more speed. But it had a steep learning curve. I can probably give an example here. In 2008, Wipro used our product to automate a 1,200 crore project of theirs. Right? And pretty much all the people who work in the product are engineers. Right? So we are not able to scale that market because this market, we need to literally go and get a customer, and the customer need to invest in learning the product first. Only then they will be able to even see the productivity. But the breakthrough happened when one of the huge FMCG companies from UK started using the product. What they did is they invested close to £100,000 to create a simple version of the product, and they used it internally. Only then we realized how the users are able to innovate using the platform that you have created to create very simple version of what we had. The simple version is like very elegant, very usable, and pretty much a lot of users inside the organizations were able to easily learn that platform and then start using it as well, right? So only in 2011, we got an understanding that we don't have to create something very complex as a product. As long as the product is simple, right? Again, it goes back to the Pareto principle, right? You don't have to solve 100% of the problems. As long as you have 20% of the features, which solves 80% of the problems, we are good, right? Remember, I'm saying 20% of the features, and that's what we did with Kissflow. In Kissflow, we removed 80% of the features from the older product and then released in 2012, and that actually led us to the success we have right now, right? So, Kamini?
No, I was just saying that that's really nice.
So this is what I call as crossing the bridge. Okay? So by being an engineering team, engineering focused organization, we have to cross the bridge to the other side and see outward in, right? See what the customers want to have, rather than building something on our own and want the customers to use the product, right? So it is like few change. I would rather call it as a change in perspective, right? From building a product, now we are serving a need in the market. Like instead of solving a problem that is exciting to us, now we are spotting the problem in the market and trying to solve the problems in the market, right? Instead of prescribing a solution, saying this is the best way to solve the problem, now we want to talk to the customer, try to follow the market, and try to create something the market needs, right? And then as engineers, the objective is always to create something complete, right? Now, if there is a feature, we want to find out all the permutation and combination. Instead of doing that, we want to hit the market as quick as possible, right? It's not about creating a complete feature, because that will change. Our assumptions are never accurate. Only when you hit the market, only when you talk to the customer, you'll be able to even create a complete feature. So it is about creating smaller features, hitting the market, getting the feedback from the customer, and then enhancing the features, right? So these are a certain change in perspective that happen inside the organization, right? So we need to also change how we operate inside Kissflow, right? As I said, used to have only sales and engineering, right? When we started getting like hundreds of customers in Kissflow, we want to change the organization so it reflects the new perspective they have in the about the SaaS product, right? So we started creating squads at Kissflow. So squads is essentially a team that work on one particular feature or a product, right? Squad is a combination of a product manager, UX and UI, as well as engineering. All these people work together. If you want to understand more about squads, search for Spotify squads, right? Spotify is the organization that actually championed the whole squad concept. And many organizations already follow squads, right? So we actually moved on to the squad model, and we operated as squads for close to like 2 years, right? So a squad is a combination of PM, design, development, as well as engineering. Again, on the business side, we have sales, we had marketing, and we had customer success team. But again, we were not very successful with this model, because even though we have squads, we have people working together. It's like one single team. We had departments. We had an engineering department. We had a product management department. We had an engineering lead, a product management lead, a lead for sales, marketing. And what will happen when you have departments? Departments have their own priorities. Squads will have their own priorities. And of course, there's a conflict. What the squad believe as a product priority may not be a product management priority, may not be an engineering or design organization's priorities, right? So we have to move away from this model, right? That's what we actually did in the newer version of Kissflow. This is how we operate right now. Instead of actually having squads, instead of having departments, we are abolishing all the departments inside the organization. So we don't have a product management organization. We don't have an engineering organization. Rather, we have a product organization, right? Your product is a combination of sales, marketing, customer success, product management, engineering, design, copy, and QA, right? If you take one product team, the team will have members from all these disciplines. And all these people report to the product owner. This is not an agile product owner, right? This guy owns the product, right? So the product owner owns all these functions. And of course, we have chapters, but chapters guide the people who are in the product teams. They don't, none of these people directly report to the chapters, right? The chapter is a horizontal function now. Their responsibility is to figure out the best way to grow their disciplines, the PM discipline or engineering discipline, and define the best practices. And none of these people report to the chapters. They report to the product owner. Now, product is the priority, right? So the sales, marketing, customer success, and all the disciplines have one single objective. They share the product vision. And you define the OKR for the product, which actually percolates to all these disciplines, right? So this is a product OKR, not a departmental OKR we work on right now. So from an engineering organization, we are able to actually move towards a product organization with this structure. We'll talk about what the product we are talking about, what product-led growth that everyone is talking about around the world. Right? This is the what they call as product. Right? Product organization is about all these disciplines working together to give a fantastic user experience to the end user. Right? We are not talking about all these things as about separate departments, right? So all these people need to work together to deliver a very good experience to the end user, because the days of sales team going to the customer selling the product is over with SaaS. The users will experience the product. They need to be extremely comfortable with what the product offers, and they will take the buying decision. You can't sell the SaaS product, right? So all these departments need to work together to provide a unique user experience, and the user need to be convinced about buying the product, and the product sells. This is what we call as a product-led growth. Yeah. And this is the framework that we use internally. I'm not going to go into this. And if you guys are really interested, search for pragmatic marketing, product management triad. And this is the framework that we use internally at the Kissflow, right? So if you look at it, this is the product organization, right? You have director of product strategy, and you have technical product manager, and you have product marketing manager, right? From strategic to tactical. If you are building the team, you need to have people who are responsible for every box in this triad. Only then you'll be able to create a very successful product organization, right? So as I said, this is again for you guys to go back and then do some research, but this is what we use internally. We make sure that we have a team, and we have people who work on every box that is defined in the product management triad, right? This has people from marketing team, this has people from product management team, and of course from the engineering organizations as well. But here you are not seeing sales, right? And there is a reason to it. In the product-led organization, sales doesn't play the typical sales role, right? They don't go and sell a product to the customer. Sales is an extension of the product management team. That's the reason we call them as technical product specialists, not as a sales team, right? They need to understand the product. They need to understand the value it offers. They need to understand the ideal customer profile. They need to understand the competitive landscape as well, right? If you look at it, this is what a typical product manager does in any organization as well. They need to understand the ecosystem in which the product operates, right? So this is how the funnel works at Kissflow. If you look at it, we are getting leads. And of course, in any SaaS product, there are only few valid leads. A lot of people actually sign up with dummy email IDs, and we need to remove that from the equation. And from valid, we look at MQL. MQL is based on a lot of factors about the organization, the designation of the individual who is trying out the product, right? And the keyword through which actually landed inside the product as well, right? Once you actually profile them as a marketing qualified lead, then you need to qualify them as a product qualified lead. Then they go into the product, they use the product, and only if they have certain level of engagement, then they become a sales qualified lead. As I said, the sales job is not to sell. The sales job here is to assist the customer to buy, right? So if they are convinced about the product, if they use the product, the sales will go and understand the use case. If there are gaps inside the product, it's a typical product-led organization product, you may not even need a sales team, right? But there'll be gaps in the product because the product is continuously evolving as well, right? The sales team here will go understand the use case, and there are gaps. They will try to address the gaps to the customer and then nudge them to buy the product, right? That's the role of the sales team in the whole equation. Here at Kissflow, every step of the funnel carries a number. There is an agreement between the marketing team and the product team. There's an agreement between the product team and the sales team. If the sales team brings in like 70% of valid leads, the product need to convert 40% of the 70%, right? That's the promise from the product team. And the sales team need to convert 20% of the 40% to SQLs, out of which they need to close 40% of SQLs to as customers, right? So every month, these numbers are measured. And you have the dashboard where we can go and see whether all these departments are working together to achieve an objective, right? And when there are gaps, all the disciplines, all the departments, all the people belong to different disciplines work together and figure out where the gaps are. With this marketing, they will do ABs, right? If it is product, they actually have data capture where they figure out where they are dropping out in the product. And if it is about sales, we actually go back to their framework, what we call as bunt internally, right, to see where the gaps are. So continuously, these are like different knobs that you have in the cockpit, right? So always know the readings of all these matrices. You go and tweak these matrices so that the engine runs smoothly, right? This is the framework. Again comes back to the product-led organization, correct? As I said, the sales teams can't sell the product. They can just help them buy the product, right? So in product-led organization, sales team is an enablement team, right? They are not a typical sales team. They can just enable the customers to buy the product if they are convinced about the product. So they literally understand the customer and they help them in navigating the product. And as I said, if the product is there already, for products like Zendesk or Freshdesk, you may not even need a sales team, right? The product is quite simple and the customers will be able to easily figure out because you are not defined, you aren't in a new category, right? If you are in ERP, if you are in CRM, customer already understands what a product does, right? You may not need a sales team, but if you are in a new category, like what Kissflow is, like digital workplace, then you may have to like explain the customer about what the product is about, and then make sure their requirements and the product needs are satisfied. Right? You might still need a sales team or enablement team. Right? And then again, the last part of the slide, the design. Right? As I said, experience is very extremely important for a product-led organization. But design is not about product design. The website is also a product, right? So the design starts from your landing pages. Design starts from your advertisements, adverts, or all the banner ads that you create. And you need to actually have a UX team for website. So the design language across the product as well as the website should be consistent, right? So this is again the most important thing is an organizational alignment towards better UX, UI, and also the copy, right? So you need to have a champion inside the team, typically the person who is heading the product management or even the CEO, who champion this concept of the priority of the design across the organization. Only then it becomes a deliverable from every department inside the organization, right? The mails that you send from customer success or whatever conversation happened between the sales team and the product team, right? Everything need to be designed to actually create a really good product experience for the users who are evaluating the product. So that's about it. This is about how we operate as an organization and how we transform from the engineering organization to a product-led organization, right? As I said, this is again work in progress. Of course, they are continuously evolving as a product-led organization. So I'll be very happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Right? And if you have any specific observations you want to share, I'll be happy to understand it as well.
Got it. Thank you for your presentation, Dinesh. So we do have a few questions from the audience. Gopinath has some contextual questions, I think, which will be better if he comes onto the stage and has a quick discussion with you. Gopinath, can you request to share audio and video?
I don't think it's audible. Probably will read the questions and try to answer here.
Oh, he just came.
So the first question is, Gopinath. Okay. Hello, Gopinath.
Hi, Gopinath. Are you able to hear us?
Thanks for letting me in.
Great, awesome. So I saw that you had asked quite a few questions in the channel, and I felt that it would be better if you can provide us your views on why specifically those questions.
Right. So I just wanted to know because a lot of times when I get in touch with the SaaS companies, they feel that they prefer people who have actually built the products, like they having come from an engineering background where they have worked as a developer or they've coded a tool or things like that. in opposed to people who come from a business background. So that's why I want to understand about like what is it that you look for when you talk about having like moved from engineer-led product group versus moving to people who actually are a business-led product person.
Sure. So there is a different kind of SaaS products, right? What we call as commodity products. The ERPs and CRMs are commodity products, right? Everyone understands what the product is. For the commodity products, you may not need technical product managers. Right? And there are a lot of other products that are fairly technical. For example, Kissflow is a platform which allows users to create applications, right? For platform products, you need people with a fair understanding of technology, right? And many of the products are actually commodity products, right? The end users can directly log in and use the product, right? Those products you don't need technical understanding of how to build a particular feature or product. Does it answer your question?
Yep, it does. Thanks, Dinesh. And when you say understanding, are they expected to be hands-on, or if they know enough of technology in terms of the level of architecture or the know-how in terms of how technology acts as an enabler, that would help, or you really would require hands-on experience?
No, we don't need hands-on experience, right? So many of the times, the product manager are part of technical discussion, and they should be able to understand the architecture, right? Because in the platform, pretty much any feature that you create, you should also know whether that is feasible or not, right? Because you are literally creating an infrastructure for users to create applications, right? So we want someone with a deep technical understanding, architectural understanding of the product. We don't want anyone with Python. We see Python or other languages as tools, right? So we don't want people who know the tools. We want people who know how to build a product.
Got it. Thank you. That answers. Yeah.
Thank you, Gopinath. So I'm just removing you from the session here. So we have another question. We have a couple of more questions from Productled Growth. So who is the co-founder of Fire? So his first question is he would like to understand what's the activation metrics in Kissflow's funnel.
So activation, as I said, it is typically a product function, right? Again, Kissflow have few products. We'll talk about products that are truly a commodity product, right? For example, if you look at Kissflow projects, right? Everyone understands project management. So there, the activation funnel is owned by the product, right? And we also sell Kissflow as a platform. We also sell Kissflow procurement. Again, in Kissflow procurement, activation funnel is owned by the product. But if for Kissflow platform, which needs slight amount of hand-holding, the activation funnel is at least owned by the technical product specialist who belong to the sales team, right? They log into the product, but we actually want the technical product specialist to talk to the customer and enable the customer to use the product, right? So it depends on the kind of product that you create as well.
Got it. So Dinesh, I'm adding Prakhar to the session so that we can have a discussion around it.
Sorry?
I'm adding Prakhar to the session so that we can have a discussion around it. Hey,
hello, Prakhar.
Hey, hi, Harish. Vignesh, can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
A fantastic session, first of all, Dinesh.
Thank you.
So my question here is, so I'm having a little trouble with the entire onboarding piece and getting the entire organization aligned to this piece, right? Because it has both the marketing people involved there as well as the product, and there is a vague. I mean, we haven't kind of gotten a sense of who owns what piece in the entire puzzle, right? So we are having a little trouble figuring that out first. And like you mentioned, your one product in your entire portfolio is defining a new category, right? Or a new way of doing things.
Yeah.
So I think we are also having the same problem where onboarding is a big challenge for us because people are used to a certain doing things a certain way, and they don't realize that this is a new way of doing things. So it's a little difficult, challenging for us to do it entirely through a product-led way, like without any sales intervention or so. How would be very interesting to hear how did you solve this problem?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's a very long answer as well. Probably we'll touch base with you after this event, right? But we have to talk about this particular product, this platform. It is extremely difficult to create a product-led organization for a platform product, right? Again, the user will come into the product, but as soon as they come, see, they actually introduce a lot of friction for users to even sign up for the product.
Right.
I'll probably give an example. 2 years back, we used to get like 200 signups a day for a platform product.
Oh, wow.
Right. And out of the 200 signups, it's very difficult to even convert 30% of the users as active customers inside the product.
How much did you say? 30%?
30%, yeah.
Oh,
so that's the promise that we are actually, the promise from the product team to the whole funnel, correct?
Right.
That is extremely difficult. Because if you get 200 people, this is a platform product, right? And people have very little patience to learn any new product.
Right.
Yeah. So now we're introducing a lot of friction. And instead of getting 200 signups, we are reducing it to 60 signups. We want to first evaluate the requirement from the user, right? Because we have very limited bandwidth. We don't want to talk to all the 200 people to try to find out whether they actually need our solution.
Right.
Now we're introducing the friction. And we are bringing in people who invest in their, you are ready to invest their time in evaluating the product.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Once they agree to that, then we can, of course, have people talking to them, understand what they need. And when they invest, of course, you'll be able to easily get their attention as well. Right. That's what we do right now.
Right. Interesting. And that's also a way of qualifying the customer, right? Because you get 200 leads, you don't know which one are relevant and which one are not. So
normally, of course, we are bootstrapped, right? We don't want to have like 200-member sales team to talk to all the 200 people, because out of 200, even like 20 or 30 may not be, more than 20 or 30 may be relevant to the product at all, right? So instead of expanding the organization, we want to qualify the leads and then have, because this is again a technical product specialist, not a typical sales team. Right? They are like product managers who need to talk to the customer, understand what they need, and then solve their problems. Right? So that's how we are operating right now.
Thank you.